Hi everyone, Mrs. Besega here at Glastonbury High School in Glastonbury, Connecticut, and welcome to our physics course. If you need to contact me, the best way to get in touch is to email besegak@glastonburyus.org. Right there. All right, so it might have been a while since you've last seen a physics class, so let me show you some of the things I'm going to be working on with your kids this year. This year, we're going to start the year with the whole first quarter being forces and motion. We'll learn about what motion looks like, how forces balance work, and even things like, oh, why is it that all these futuristic spacecraft rotate? Why is that? When we get to momentum, we'll be talking about not only impulse and momentum and collisions and doing the egg drop, but we'll also be talking about it in terms of learning to drive and sport safety. In the energy unit, yes, we're going to do the typical like conservation of energy on a roller coaster, but we'll also be talking about different forms of energy that humans can use for our own modern purposes. In quarter three, we're going to be looking at electricity and magnetism. We'll do circuits, we'll do the Van de Graaff generator, the one that's making her hair stand up on end over here. And we'll be building speakers out of regular, everyday materials and magnets. We'll finish up the year with sound, light, waves, and nuclear physics. So in sound and light, we'll be learning how instruments work, how lasers work, how light can be broken up into different colors, and optics, how lenses work, and how this cool picture was taken. The very last unit of the year will most likely, time permitting, be nuclear physics. One of the reasons there is so much angst and anger and concern about nuclear physics is that we also don't understand it very well. So our goal in this is to teach your children how much they need to know about nuclear physics to be a well-informed adult. Just think, in only 1 or 2 years, they'll be voting actual adults. Crazy, crazy. For grading policies, the new policy reflects the situation with COVID going on right now. Instead of having separate homework, lab, and tests, we'll be looking at just science skills assessments and summative assessments. And to tell those apart, our science skills, the 40%, would take the place of traditional in-class labs and classwork and homework. A formative assessment, which will now fall under science skills, a formative assessment is usually the first time a student has seen new material. And as a result, those grades will be based on completion. Did they try every problem? On the other hand, a summative assessment is what's going to count in the assessment category for 60%. These might include tests, quizzes, labs, presentations. Those would be items that students have seen before and have practiced before starting the assessment. So those will be their time to show off what they've learned. With that being said, extra help is not being encouraged this year. What we would like to do instead is do extra help on Zoom. On Zoom, if you are interested in extra help, have your students email me. We can set up an individual Zoom appointment. However, if there are too many students that need help at the same time, I reserve the right to have a few extra students, up to 4 or 5 students in Zoom at once, receiving extra help. Accessing our class. The main way your students will be able to find information for our class is on Classroom. And what that looks like is something like this. So for Unit 1, they'd be seeing all of the assignments along with a special thing called follow-along slides. Only the assignments listed in Classroom will be graded assignments. Anything else would be considered classwork. Let's check out this follow-along slides thing. This is pretty cool, and I'm the only teacher I know doing it. So if we click the follow-along slide for week 1, these follow-along slides include every lesson for the entire week. So that means students that are absent or students that are remote will be able to follow along as we go from home. These slides will have things such as the goals of each lesson, video lessons. It will have embedded formative assessments, trying to make sure students can get some practice with assignments. And since it goes for the entire week, students will be able to follow along. It also includes active links. For instance, this page has active links to students' Flipgrid accounts. So someone in my first period class would click blue, someone in my sixth period class would click green, and it would bring them to embedded assignments. It also will lead to embedded assignments that are homework. So you'll also be able to know the graded homework for any lesson from the slides in addition to Classroom. With that being said, I also keep information on Google Drive. Google Drive, they have a folder titled Physics 5470, and that shared folder has the repository of every document they would need for class. So it has blank labs, blank homeworks, So it has blank labs, blank homeworks, all of the slideshows, answer keys, review guides, note sheets. Everything they're going to need has a repository in Drive, in file form. And finally, PowerSchool. Even though some other websites like Pivot or Flipgrid may have grading embedded into them where they'll see a grade attached to assignments, the only assignments they need to be concerned about reading the grades for are the ones in PowerSchool. So if you have any remaining questions, feel free to email me at basagak, that's BASIAGAK, @glastonburyus.org. And welcome to class.